Hey everyone, so in this segment I wanted to talk about this IRS CP 282 notice that you might have received if you recently filed a Form 1065 partnership return. So what does the notice mean, who would get it, and what do you do about it? Well, if you look on your Form 1065, there's a question on there, right? The question asks, does the partnership have any foreign partners? Simple answer, right? Yes or no. I mean, you look at your partnership group, you look at the K1s. Do you have any individuals, entities, trusts, foreign governments in there that indicate they are a foreign partner for U.S. tax purposes, right? If you answer yes, and of course you should answer that question truthfully, then the follow-up question is, if so, how many Forms 8804 and 5 are you attaching to this return? Now, I think a lot of people will answer this question and the default answer is 0 because they maybe don't know about the requirement. Others might answer it and attach the 8804s. But I want to talk about specifically what is the 8804 and 5, what are the circumstances where you might need to file it, and what do you do if you get this notice, right? So the 8804 and 8805 are used when you have a partnership that's engaged in U.S. trade or business, so that's the first element, and it has U.S. source income that's effectively connected with that U.S. trade or business. If that's the case, and you have any foreign partners in the partnership is obligated to withhold tax on the income being allocated to those foreign partners. That's how the IRS ensures that they at least collect some tax on U.S. trade or business income that's being earned by foreign parties, right? Because the foreign parties might not necessarily need to file a tax return, right? So this withholding obligation exists to encourage, or at least to ensure that the federal government gets some cut, some sort of tax dollars. But the important thing here is not every partnership has this U.S. source ECI. And that's because not every U.S. partnership is engaged in U.S. trade or business and has U.S. source effectively connected income. So what do I mean by that? What's an example? So this example here, we have a U.S. LLC with 3 owners, okay? It's a domestic partnership because it's a U.S. entity. It has more than one person in it, so it's a partnership. Every domestic partnership has to file a Form 1065 tax return even if it might not have any income or expenses that's allocated to partners that is subject to tax. That's just the standard. They want to see the return every year, and they're going to expect it. If you apply for that EIM, you'll get that confirmation letter that says, hey, you got to file a Form 1065 return by March 15th every year, or else we'll come knocking for you. So in this example, we have the 3-owner LLC, but everybody that's a partner is a citizen and a tax resident of Germany. So we have no U.S. persons in this structure. Still have to file the 1065 tax return. They conduct all their business outside the U.S. They have no U.S. offices, no U.S. employees, no U.S. customers even. But they still need to file that tax return. In this case, because they have that no U.S. nexus, they have to file the return, but they don't have any U.S. ECI, so they have no 8804 or 8805 filing obligations, right? So in this case, if they filled out the 1065, they answered yes to foreign partners, no to 8804 and 8805s. They did everything correctly, but the IRS system automatically flags this. So even if you took the correct position, where you have no U.S. source ECI, no gross income, no U.S. trade or business, no nothing, you can still be profitable. Obviously, you can still generate profits, but it's all non-U.S. trade or business income. In this case, the IRS will still send you this notice. They'll send you the CP 282 notice, and what's telling and what's important here is anytime you get a notice from the IRS, it's always overwhelming because you assume that your back's against the wall and they're chasing you for money. But if you read the language carefully, you'll note that this really is just kind of a fishing expedition. They just wanted to let you know that maybe there's something you missed, right? So the notice will state, you indicated that your partnership has a foreign partner. Because of this relationship, your partnership may have an additional filing obligation. And then it goes on to talk about the 8804 and 8805. Again, may. It doesn't, they're not saying that, hey, you completely missed this. They're saying, we want you to recheck this to make sure it's okay and correct, but you might have to file this, right? And so if the partnership has that gross ECI, and let me point out very clearly here, the filing obligation is gross ECI. So even if your partnership, let's say your partnership is in a loss position, so you're losing money every year, but you have effectively connected gross income, you still have to file the forms, right? So the IRS is more concerned with not necessarily what is the net profit or loss, but if you are engaged in U.S. trade or business and you have gross ECI, you've got to file these forms. So don't just look at the bottom line. You got to analyze the whole activity of the partnership and the partnerships, the partnership and the partners to determine whether you need to file these forms. Okay, and then at the very bottom of the form, if you get to the end of it, after all the kind of information they throw at you, there is no call to action, right? It's if you need to do this, do it, but if you don't send us a letter saying you don't have to do it. You basically just ignore it. So if you get the letter, don't be overly concerned. Really look at your partnership and say, okay, if I have this, if I'm engaged in U.S. trade or business and I have ECI, I need to file these. But if you don't, right, if you're not engaged in U.S. trade or business and you have no U.S. gross ECI, then you don't have to file the forms. You can just ignore it. But the takeaway is make sure you get it right. I mean, if look at your partnership activity, look at the activity of the partners. Is their activity creating U.S. trade or business? So if you, like these German guys, if they were flying to the U.S. to conduct business, their activities as partners on behalf of the partnership could create a U.S. TOB and some ECI issues. But again, like in this is a slam dunk example where you have a U.S. entity that was set up just for like legal purposes because they didn't want to be in Germany. They have to file the 1065, but they have no U.S. TOB, they have no U.S. source ECI, so no 8804, no 8805 filing obligation for these gentlemen. Yeah, that covers it all. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks.